Perfect. Perfect.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Isn't It Crazy Podcast. Today I want to talk about the first date. Maybe my friend zone video helped you, or maybe after 50 messages on Facebook, she finally gave you a shot, right? I don't know which one it is, but today I'm going to cover the basics from what you should do before, during, and after the first date. So the key to a first date is to impress her with the least amount of money that you possibly can. And I know that sounds cheap, but there's a method to that thought, so bear with me. The first step that you should take on a first date should be doing your research. Go find a place that you could take her, let her know what time and date, and nothing's more confident than a guy that can take charge and just have a plan laid out for the date to come. So choosing where to go is very crucial. You want to pick something that focuses on the conversation. So no movies, no concerts, no dark places where you guys can't hear each other. So anything like art galleries, walking around town, sightseeing, something exciting like axe throwing. So my personal pick would be a coffee shop. You get to sit down and have a one-on-one with that person and figure out what they're all about. So once you have all those details in order, what do you do before the date? I think it's important to shower, brush your teeth, just make sure you're well groomed and put a little effort into your outfit. If you just put anything on and head out the door, it seems like you don't care or you're not a very neat person. Anything from body odor to bad breath can be a deal breaker for the whole thing, and it's not going to go very well, and she's going to be uncomfortable, and maybe you'll notice it and you'll be uncomfortable too. So just pay attention to the details. That'll not only take you further, but also set you apart from a lot of guys that aren't doing that. Because every time a girl goes out with a guy, she'll compare. And the shittiest one compares to the best one. And if that guy just didn't shower that day, you're already one step ahead, right? So make sure you pay attention to the details and make sure to offer to always pick her up. Always be on time. Girls are usually late. They're doing their makeup, they're doing their hair. So watch a video while you wait. Maybe watch this video and get some confidence out of it. But as soon as she comes out of the door, get out of your car, open the door, be a gentleman. This is common sense, guys. Just open the door and make a good impression. A lot of guys don't do that these days. They usually pick the girls up. And I know my girlfriend is probably laughing at this part because I do not do that at all. I might have done it once, but I was just trying to make a good impression, I guess you could say. So once on the date, what do you guys talk about? I know that's a sticking point for a lot of guys. Maybe you're nervous, maybe you're awkward, but the trick to that is just putting the spotlight on her and not you. Ask her what her interests are, what is she passionate about, what does she like to do for fun, and then try to find commonalities with what she says. Don't overdo it, don't kiss her ass, and just agree with everything she's saying. If you do see a point of view where you disagree, that's a conversation too. I wouldn't say argue, but at the same time, playfully disagree. And always make it about her. People love to talk about themselves. I know if you ask me what I like to do, I would talk about podcasting, UFC all the time. So try to find as much information as you can. Don't ask too many personal questions, but at the same time, try to get in there deep. Try to figure out who she is. And that will serve you for the rest of the dates if you guys end up going, if it actually works out and she had fun. Depending on whether she liked who you are and whether you liked who she is. I know a lot of guys are going to say, well, I want to take her on a fancy date. That will make a good impression. But the thing is, if you don't like her, you just spent $80 on somebody that you're never going to talk to again. So you start out small and you give yourself room to grow. So you start at the, say for the example, at a coffee shop. There you learn things that she likes. Maybe she likes lunch. Maybe she likes tacos. So the next date, you could take her to a taco place, or maybe she likes to play soccer. So the next day you guys go play soccer somewhere or anything fun. Just take what you learned from the first date, apply it to the second date. My rule on the fancy thing is I've had bad experiences with it. I once took a vegetarian to a steakhouse and it didn't go very well. She kind of criticized why I ate meat. It wasn't a great experience. And I think if I would have taken her to a coffee shop, learned that she was a vegetarian, I would have never taken her there. And maybe we could have kept talking. But after that whole day, I never talked to her again. And it was just a waste of time. So you live and you learn. And that's why I'm against fancy dinners. My rule is if I'm not willing to take my mom, who I've known all my life, why am I going to take some girl I just met online just to impress her for one night? Yeah, you build up to those things. I think the first date you get to know them, the second date it's more of a intimate thing, and then the third date that's when you're really serious about somebody. You take them to a fancy thing, and it gives you room to build. So she tells her friends, he took me to get coffee. Then the next day, he took me to a nice lunch downtown. Then the next day, oh, it was a fancy dinner. Then the boat. Then maybe you take her on a helicopter trip or on a spontaneous like vacation or something like that. But you give yourself levels to keep her on her toes and keep her guessing what's going to be next. And it's always a better thing. But you started at the lower level. If you start at the fancy dinner, and then you go to coffee, they see it as something went wrong. So not all girls are the same, and some won't care where you take them, right? So just in review, just pay attention to the details, make sure you plan ahead, make sure the conversation is just on her, and always level up. Always try to start at the bottom and try to keep giving her better stuff the later the dates go. It not only says you're putting thought into these dates, because you're taking what she said on the first date to the second date to the third date, you're also bringing in more creativity and more, it shows that you care a lot more and you're more serious. Now, the guys that are just thinking, dude, that's so many hoops to go through and I just want to fuck or I just want to hit it and quit it, there's advice for that too. And you don't have to do all the fucking first date, second date, pre-plan or whatever. Just invite her to a late night dinner, like a light dinner and drinks. And I would say the closer the better. If you take her dancing, you guys get closer. Maybe things go on from there. Always just make your intentions known though. Like let her know like you're just interested in having sex. Sometimes being honest, I know it's scary because you think you're going to scare them away and they're going to think you're a pervert or something, but sometimes that's what they want too. So there's no miscommunication. You guys know that you're gonna have a fun time. At the end of the night, you guys are gonna end up smashing. Everybody knows what's happening. If you want to be like, if you don't even want to, if you want to take away the whole dinner and dance thing, just invite them over for Netflix and chill. You know, like they're gonna come over. They know they're getting their booty cheeks clapped. Like everybody's on the same page. I think that's the universal sign that I want to do something on the first date, I guess. But always just remember, be respectful, ask her. Don't just force yourself on there because you assume that she wants to. She came over. Maybe she just wants to watch fucking Black Mirror on Netflix and you're over here cock out and everything. So always ask, always be respectful. But at the same time, it's always just pretty forward when you ask somebody to come to your place. You're skipping over all the steps. But the first section of that was for guys who want to be in a relationship, for guys that find it tough to maybe go on dates, or maybe the first dates just never turn into a second date or a third date. So keep that in mind. Maybe you found that just being clean helps you out. Maybe pre-planning these things is an advantage. Take little bits and pieces of the advice and put them to your own recipe, and maybe it'll work out even better. I'd love to hear what you guys can come up with. And that's all I got for the first date. So hopefully you guys get a second date and a third date, and we can make some fucking couples happen, right? Or maybe you just smash cheeks while fucking Black Mirror's playing. Who knows? So moving on to sports, KD and Kyrie Irving are moving on to the Brooklyn Nets, and I from the start said that was the dumbest move you could do. Actually, going to the Knicks is worse, but I guess James Dolan didn't want to give him a max because of the Achilles injury, so that's a smart move. I know James Dolan is a crazy owner. I wouldn't have given him max either. The Brooklyn Nets didn't give KD the max either, but they chose to do that so they could have enough cap space to bring on DeAndre Jordan for $40 million. Now they have three pieces, but we all know basketball is a game of five starters. You'd need two more shooters to spread the floor out and just have enough scoring power so they could mimic what happened in Golden State, because that's right now, that's the gold standard, right? You have a bunch of shooters that spread the gameplay, and you have more options. More people pass on, and you create open looks. So they need two more shooters. I think they need a better bench. I know they gave up a lot of people for these trades, and their bench must be depleted, So maybe not the best bench, but at least a bench that could keep them in the lead, or maybe maintain you in the game if the starters need um if the starters need a rest. If one of them does go down, Kyrie is injury prone, KD is injury prone. The Brooklyn Nets are looking at a tough season, and I know KD's not coming back for a while, so we'll see what happens. I'm not gonna say the Brooklyn Nets are the favorites in the East, because you're looking at a team that isn't built yet. So you gotta wait till the end of the free agency. I know a lot of people are jumping onto the Lakers bandwagon, the Brooklyn bandwagon. Just because you acquire somebody doesn't mean you're gonna win. Look at the Toronto Raptors. They were said that they were gonna lose the finals, and they came on top. So we'll see what happens. Never get too much of the hype train going on. In other sports, last week was the UFC's fight night. Francis Ngannou knocked out Junior Dos Santos, and I thought it was Cain Velasquez. So my last podcast was a complete mislap on my part, but he knocked him out so quick in the first round. And Francis Ngannou does this when shit doesn't matter, when things aren't on the line. He lost a lot of weight, so I'm excited to see maybe he's worked on his cardio, and he's ready to get back into the pool of saying, I'm going to fight Stipe Miocic or Cormier. But they're both wrestlers, and and they both could take a punch, and that's where he lacks. So hopefully we'll see what happens with Stipe and DC in the future. Whoever wins that, hopefully Stipe wins. That way Francis Ngannou could jump up, and DC could go fight John Jones, right? But we'll have to see. Everything is up in the air right now. Other than that, UFC has a International Fight Week coming up this week, and they stacked the card. So from top to bottom, it's just a bunch of fights. But the two fights I want to talk about today are Ben Askren versus George Masvidal. And that one's exciting because George is a power puncher. He pushes the pressure, and he's going to go at him like Robbie Lawler did. And Ben's just going to try to wrestle him down on the ground. And George, I think he's jiu-jitsu right now, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But he fights guys like Anthony Pettis in competition. So I'm excited to see who they're going to fight. And the other fight is Amanda Nunes versus Holly Holmes. And Amanda Nunes knocked out Ronda Rousey and Cyborg in less than a round. So Holly Holm has her work cut out for her, but she is a kickboxer, so I'm excited to see what's going to happen, if she's going to use her length and her legs to create distance, and maybe Amanda's going to be more tentative to come in. But knowing Amanda, she's going to come in throwing bombs, and if Holly could take it, nobody's ever pushed Amanda that far to see where her cardio is. At least I haven't seen it, so we'll see what happens with them. I'll talk more about the Thiago Silva and John Jones fight as the week comes on. I just want to get all my facts right. I want to see all the fights that they've been in and make a good prediction on that. So I got Ben Askren beating George Masvidal, and I got Holly Holm coming up with the upset versus Amanda. I think if she can just get a couple kicks and use her body movement right, she's there for the taking. And we'll have to see. She's longer, she's bigger, and I think she's just a veteran. You know what I mean? All right, so now to trending topics. The only thing I want to talk about today is the cucumber challenge. It's like a huge thing going on because these girls are making videos where they suck on a cucumber, and apparently that's saying how they would suck on a dick. I'm not sure how it works, but I think it's hilarious that you're either for it or you're not. Like, the girls that are not are saying it's degrading to women, and you shouldn't be sucking on a cucumber when you're on Instagram. But the thotties that are down for it, they're just going all out, spit and everything. It's like a resume for them. I think it's the last thing they have to do before they graduate from Dottie University. I I don't even know who comes up with these things. I think it's hilarious. I think if it gets you mad, the thotties won. If it gets you upset that these girls are doing it, they're doing it for the attention. They're doing to get a reaction out of you. So just wait for the fad to go by. It's like the ice bucket challenge. It's like all these challenges that come through. They last for a second. Once it hits peak attention, these girls stop doing it. But I'm excited to see what happens after that. You know, you had the twerk challenge, you had the cucumber challenge. I don't know what other kind of challenges there is, but man, they're definitely leveling up. You know, they're thinking outside the box. I don't know if they're just gonna start sticking eggplants up their pussies. I don't even know, but I think it's hilarious. And if you're mad at that, then you're focused on the wrong person. You know, you're focused on somebody who doesn't matter to you. You don't respect these girls anyways. So focus on yourself. Let them do what they're gonna do because they're gonna do it anyways, and they don't care what you think. If they post a video of them sucking on a cucumber, they don't care what you think or what their moms think or what their family thinks. I know if my mom or my sister or my girlfriend sucked on a cucumber and made a video out of it, I definitely unfollow them everywhere. And that's so these girls don't care about what anybody thinks about them. They're just trying to do it for attention. They're trying to do it for likes, and you shouldn't be getting mad at that. You should just be going on your merry way and focusing on your life. On other news, I'm from Chicago, and today I woke up and somebody had spray painted the bean. It said 35th Street or something, 35th Street Crew. Some ghetto, probably teenager with a white spray can walked up and did it, but they got all these people arrested. I'm not for doing that. I know somebody worked really hard to make that bean, and it's like a symbol for Chicago. And for them to vandalize it like that is kind of fucked up, right? But these news these news channels, they just go with it and they make these kids famous. And now some morons at home going, "Oh, I can go do that to the bean, and they're gonna put me on the news, and they're gonna make me famous." And hey, these kids, they're not releasing their names, but they put the 30 Street Crew or whatever it said on that thing. That's enough for them, you know. That's a win for them. Whether they're teenagers and they get like juvie or something, it's not gonna be a hard penalty. Maybe they just make them do community service, and they get all the attention out of it. So making it, you're feeding the troll, and that's what the troll wants, right? They want attention, and these kids definitely got a bunch of it. I know all the news channels are reporting on it, but it's kind of fucked up, man. Um, Other than that, the Chicago Cubs and the Sox are fighting. They're fighting this weekend. Well, maybe the fans are, but the Chicago Cubs and Sox are playing against one another, and I've never rooted for one or the other. I know my license plate says Sox, but I only chose that because it was black and not because I liked the Cubs or the Sox. Growing up, I always had a family that rooted for both, and growing up, I always thought Chicago had two chances to win a World Series. Like, granted, we didn't win a lot, but you always had like two choices. Like, you're from Chicago, so rooting for one team or the other is kind of silly, right? So that's pretty much all I got for today. So I like to end my shows with like appreciating the people that watch this channel. So shout out to Joel Ramos and Sev, who took the time to tell me what they really thought about my immigration podcast. They hit me with a bunch of facts, and that's what I wanted this podcast to be, for people to have these conversations. And I learned a couple things from them, and hopefully they learned a couple things from me. But keep bringing up these conversations. If you don't like something I said, or maybe you think there's a better way to go about it, comment down below, start the conversation, or message me. I'm gladly will have a conversation with you about it. I might not reply very fast, but that's because I'm either editing or I'm trying to enjoy my day off or something like that. So just bear with me, okay? And thanks for watching.